3. My unseen self. One evening, around age 4 or 5, a drive-in movie theatre outing ended in a bedroom disagreement with my mom. Defiantly, I proclaimed, "I want to go to my real mother." My mom's body stiffened. My dad slipped out quietly. Her calm, firm response shocked me. "Okay, let's go to your room." She retrieved a suitcase from her cupboard, set it on my bed, opened a clothing drawer, and said, "Let's pack your clothes. Daddy and I will take you to her because this is what you want." Overwhelming fear seized my entire being, nearly paralyzing me. My lower lip trembled, tears burst forth, and my heart thundered in my ears. Frantically, I pleaded, stuttering through lisped S's. "No, no, no, I didn't mean it. I don't want to leave. I want to stay with you. Please, Mommy, don't pack my clothes. I promise never to say it again. Put away the suitcase. I won't go. Please, please, I'll never say it again. I'm so, so sorry." A small child's inner resolve holds profound power. In innocence, we make silent vows when the adult world confuses us. Overwhelmed, we sense only fear, crushing, life-altering fear. In that moment, I pledged never to threaten my mom again with leaving for my birth mother. My mom, ever the calm and grounded soul, gently closed the empty suitcase, returned it to the cupboard, and enveloped me in her loving lap. Yoli, their pet name for me. Daddy and I love you very, very much. You are our beautiful, adorable little girl. It's unbecoming of such a beautiful child to talk to us like this. It's very ugly. If you say it again, we will take you back to her, for real. Then you can go and live with her and never see us again. So if you don't want this to happen, then it's best that you never ever say this again. I wrapped my arms tightly around my mom's neck, unleashing heart-rending sobs on her soft, comforting chest. Even then, I wondered why I'd uttered those foolish words about returning to my quote-unquote real mom. Overwhelming fear gripped me. Stomach knots, throat constriction, and nausea unlike the frequent car sickness. Familiar, yet inexplicable, this dread unsettled me deeply. My dad re-entered, embracing me warmly, his shaky whisper and prickly cheek against my ear reassuring. "I love you, my Yoli." I sensed his sadness and disappointment, fueling my guilt and shame for the unwarranted outburst, feeling cruel for hurting them. Eventually, tears subsided, and an immense sense of relief flooded me. My dad's familiar scent brought solace, and my relief mingled with gratitude. That incident silenced discussions about my birth mother. A couple of years later, my mom revealed my original birth certificate, carefully stored in a special tin within her dresser drawer. The tin's worn lid creaked open, exposing faded blue ink handwriting. I watched, fascinated, as details emerged. 31 March 1966, Pretoria, birth date, and Marenda Koch, my birth name. This revelation ignited fervent fantasies of meeting her. Would our encounter bring joy or awkwardness? Uncertainty fueled hours of imagination. Intrigued by my name's unusual spelling, brief thoughts surfaced. How many Marendas exist in South Africa? Could this unique name bridge the gap? Sometimes, when my mom and dad were out, I'd sneak into their room, reopen the tin, poring over my birth certificate. Each reading brought anticipation of uncovering unseen truths. Fantasies intertwined with longing. But I never breathed any of these untamed thoughts about my birth mother to a soul. It felt wrong, like I was committing a sin. It became my dirty little secret, along with my many other ridiculously exaggerated fantasies about just about anything. My inner realm was my sanctuary, more tangible than the external world. Here I found solace throughout adolescence. No explanations required, no scrutiny of words or actions. Free from decoding others' cues, I revelled in unbridled freedom, wild and untethered. I cherished this soul, this essence, this radiant being within me. But secrecy was her shield. Her existence demanded my utmost protection, for in the harsh world outside, her survival seemed impossible. The thought of life without her was unbearable. She embodied my salvation, my sacred gift. She had no name, because I knew she was neither Elmarie nor Marenda.